Let me ask you something that's gonna hit different. You ever hand your crying baby to someone else? Your mom, your sister, your partner, even a damn babysitter, and suddenly silence? Like magic, the baby stops crying, calms down, maybe even smiles, and you're standing there feeling like complete garbage. Like what the hell is wrong with you? Like you're failing at the one job that's supposed to be natural. Like your own baby doesn't even want you. I know that feeling. And I'm gonna tell you something today that no one else will. That crying, when you hold them, it's not rejection. It's proof. Proof that you are their safe place, their real home, their nervous system's favorite address. But most parents get this backwards, and that's what's breaking you. Let me explain what's actually happening inside that tiny little brain. Babies don't cry because they hate you. They don't cry because you're doing something wrong. They don't cry because they prefer your mother-in-law over you, even though that's exactly what it feels like. Babies cry more with you because they can sound too simple. Say with me. There's this concept in psychology called the secure base. It's been studied for decades. Basically, when a baby feels truly safe with someone, truly, deeply, no questions asked, safe, they use that person as home base, a place where they can fall apart, where they can release everything, where they don't have to perform or pretend or hold it together. Think about yourself. Who do you cry in front of? Not strangers, not coworkers, not acquaintances. You cry in front of your mom, your partner, your best friend, the one person who's seen you at your worst and didn't leave. Why? Because that's when it's safe to fall apart. The same thing with babies. When your baby cries more with you, when they scream, thrash, cling, sob the second you pick them up. That's not rejection. That's them saying, I've been holding this in all day. I've been trying to be good, but now I'm with you, and I can finally let it out. You're not the problem. You're the solution they've been waiting for. But here's where it gets painful. Most parents don't know this. So when the baby cries more with them, they start pulling away. They hand the baby off more. They stop believing they're bad at parenting. They start feeling resentful, jealous, broken, and the baby feels that. Babies are emotional sponges. They absorb everything. They don't understand words, but they understand tension. They understand when you're stiff. They understand when you're scared. They understand when you hand them to someone else a little too fast. And what do they learn? They learn that their safe place isn't safe anymore. Now that's the real tragedy, not the crying. The parent pulling away because they misunderstood the crying. Let me tell you a story. Real story. Happens every day. There's a mom. Let's call her Jessica. Jessica had a baby boy. Colicky. Cried all the time. But here's the thing. He cried the worst with her. Screaming, arching his back. Nothing worked. But when her mom held him calm within 2 minutes, Jessica started believing she was a failure. She'd see videos of other mums with peaceful smiling babies and want to throw her phone across the room. She started handing him off more. Started finding excuses to not hold him. He doesn't want me anyway. I'm just making it worse. And her baby felt that. Every time she pulled away, he cried harder. Not because he didn't want her, because he was terrified she was leaving. It took her 6 months to learn the truth. 6 months of feeling like garbage. 6 months of thinking she was broken. She wasn't broken. She just didn't know what you're about to learn. The science is actually beautiful when you understand it. Here's what researchers found. When a baby cries more with the primary caregiver, usually mom, it's actually a sign of secure attachment. Not insecure. Secure. The baby has learned that this person responds, this person comes, this person doesn't leave when things get hard. So they let loose. They save their biggest cries, their biggest meltdowns, their biggest emotions for the person they trust most. Think about it like this. When you come home from a terrible day at work, who do you vent to? Your boss? The random person on the bus? No. You vent to your partner, your roommate, your mom, the person who's going to listen and not judge and still be there when you're done being a mess. Your baby is doing the exact same thing. You just couldn't see it because you were too busy feeling like a failure. Now I know what some of you are thinking, but my baby calms down instantly for my mom, for my sister, or the daycare lady. That means they're better than me, right? No, it means your baby doesn't have the same history with them. It means your baby is on their best behavior with other people. It means your baby hasn't yet learned that those people will stick around when things get ugly, so they hold it together. They perform calm, not because they're happy, because they're not sure yet. And when they finally get back to you, to the one person they're absolutely sure about, they let go. And that letting go looks like screaming, crying, clinging, falling apart. That's not a problem. That's the deepest compliment your baby will ever give you. Let me tell you something that might actually hurt more than the crying. Ready, your baby cries more with you, because you're the only one who's always there. Sounds simple? But think about it. Other people come and go. Grandma visits for a few hours. The babysitter leaves at 6 p.m. Your partner goes to work. They're not the constant. They're not the 3 a.m. feverish, teething, exhausted, haven't slept in 3 days constant. You are, and because you're the constant, you get everything. The good, the bad, the ugly, the smiles and the screams, the snuggles and the thrashing, the peaceful moments and the ones where you're both crying on the kitchen floor at 2 a.m. because nothing is working. Other people get the highlight reel. They get the baby after a nap, after a feed, after you've already done the hard work of calming them down. You get the behind the scenes, the raw footage, the uncut, unedited, no-filter version. And that version is messy. But here's the thing about messy, it's also real. It's also deep. It's also where the actual bonding happens. There's a reason your baby saves their hardest emotions for you. Because emotions, especially big, scary, overwhelming ones, need to go somewhere. And babies don't have words. They don't have coping skills. They don't have a therapist or a journal or a glass of wine at the end of the day. All they have is crying. And all they have is you. So when you hold them and they scream, they're transferring that emotional weight to you. They're saying, I can't carry this anymore. You take it, and you do. Because that's what you signed up for. Even if no one told you that's what you signed up for. But here's where the painful truth gets even more painful. Some of you listening right now, you've never had that. When you were a baby, your parents didn't hold you while you cried. They let you cry it out. They handed you off. They told you to stop being dramatic. They made you feel like your emotions were too much, too loud, too annoying. So you learned to hold it in. You learned to perform calm. To be the easy baby. The good kid. The one who doesn't cause trouble. And now you're an adult. And you can't cry in front of anyone. You can't ask for help. You can't let anyone see you fall apart. Because deep down you're still that baby who learned that your emotions aren't safe. Not even with the people who are supposed to love you. And that's why your baby's crying hits you so hard. Because your baby is doing what you never could. They're crying freely. Without shame. Without fear. Without worrying if they're too much. They feel safe enough to fall apart. And watching that, it breaks something open in you. Not because they're doing something wrong, but because you're finally seeing what you never had. That's not your baby's fault. And it's not yours either. But it's your responsibility to break the cycle. Let me say that again. Your baby is crying more with you because they feel safe. That's the truth. That's the science. That's what every attachment researcher will tell you. But if you don't know that, if you believe the lie that you're failing, you'll do what your parents did. You'll pull away, you'll hand them off. You'll unconsciously teach them that their big emotions aren't welcome, not even with you. And then they'll learn to hold it in, just like you did. And the cycle continues. So here's the question. Are you going to keep believing the lie? Are you going to keep feeling like a failure every time your baby cries in your arms? Or are you going to learn the truth that the crying is proof and hold them anyway? Because that's the only way the cycle breaks. When you stay. When you hold them through the screaming. When you let them know, without words, without lectures, without perfection, that they can fall apart with you. That you're not leaving. That their emotions don't scare you away. That's what secure attachment actually looks like. Not a baby who never cries. A baby who cries with you and learns, over and over and over, that someone stays. Now let me tell you something that might finally set you free. Ready your baby stopping for other people? That's not because they're better parents. It's because your baby doesn't feel safe enough to be real with them. I know that sounds backwards. But stick with me. When a baby cries with a new person, a grandparent, a babysitter, even the other parent sometimes, and then stops quickly, it's often not because that person fixed it. It's because the baby gave up. Babies learn fast. They learn who responds and who doesn't. They learn who comes and who stays distant, where they learn what works and what doesn't. And sometimes, with other people, they learn that crying doesn't work the same way. That person doesn't respond the same way, doesn't hold the same way, doesn't stay the same way, so they stop. Not because they're calm, because they're conserving energy. Because they've learned that this person isn't their safe place. You see where I'm going with this? Your baby's biggest cries, the loudest, ugliest, most desperate ones, are reserved for you. The person they trust most, the person they know will come, the person they know won't leave. That's not failure. That's the deepest form of connection a human can have. And I know it doesn't feel like that at 3 a.m. when you haven't slept in days. I know it doesn't feel like that when your mom gives you that look, like, what are you doing wrong? I know it doesn't feel like that when you see other parents with their calm, peaceful babies and wonder what's wrong with yours. Nothing is wrong. You've just been sold a lie. The lie that good parents have quiet babies. The lie that crying is a problem to be solved. The lie that if your baby cries more with you, you're doing something wrong. That's all garbage. Here's what's actually true. Your baby cries with you because you're home, because you're real, because you're not a performance, because you don't require them to be small and quiet and easy to be loved. And that's beautiful. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend it's easy. It's not. Holding a screaming baby while everyone else watches and judges, while you're exhausted and emotional and questioning everything, while you feel like a failure in real time, that's hard. That's harder than most things in life. And if you're doing that right now, if you're in the trenches, feeling like you're drowning, wondering if you're cut out for this, I need you to hear something. You're not broken. Your baby's not broken. Nothing needs to be fixed. You just need to know the truth, that the crying is connection, that the crying is trust, that the crying is your baby saying you're my person in the only way they know how. And one day, sooner than you think, that crying will turn into words, and they'll tell you about their bad day at school, and their friendship drama, and their heartbreak, and their fears, and they'll cry then too, and you'll hold them and you'll remember these days. The days when they cried in your arms and you didn't know why. The days when you felt like a failure. The days when everyone else seemed to have it figured out. And you'll realize something. The crying was never the problem. The crying was the bond being built. Brick by brick, scream by scream, tear by tear. So here's what I want you to do. Next time your baby cries harder when you hold them, don't hand them off. Don't pull away. Don't believe the voice in your head that says you're failing. Hold them tighter. Breathe slower. Whisper something, anything in their ear. Even if they can't understand the words, they'll understand the tone, the calm, the presence, and let them cry. Let them release whatever they're holding. Because on the other side of that crying, on the other side of all those tears and screams and sleepless nights, is a kid who knows, deep in their bones, that they are safe with you, that they don't have to perform, that they can fall apart and you'll still be there. And that knowledge, that's the most powerful gift you will ever give them. Not a quiet baby. A baby who knows they are loved, not when they're easy, not when they're quiet. Not when they're performing calm, but when they're real. When they're messy. When they're crying their eyes out in your arms. That's love. And that's what you're giving them every single time you stay. So stop believing the lie. The crying isn't rejection. It's proof. Proof that you are their safe place. Their home. Their person. And no amount of silence from someone else's arms will ever change that. You're not failing. You're just doing the hardest, most beautiful, most invisible work on the planet. And one day, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, they're going to look at you with so much love in their eyes and you're going to know it was worth every single tear.